Welcome everybody to I can't remember the name of it. Beyond the Banks.
Beyond the Banks.
Tennessee River podcast. And we're back in Clifton today, and I have with me Shawnee Iacona.
No, it's Iacono.
Iacono.
Nobody can say that right.
I've been saying it wrong for years.
And for 5 years now.
Until we were on camera. And now if I mess up again, everybody's going to
It's like I can know. I can know. Like I can know you. I can know.
I can know how to say that.
Right?
I love it.
Yeah, that's what happens when you marry him.
I'm with Shawnee. I can know. And we're reporting from inside the Chamber of Commerce building in Clifton. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite places to shop when I'm shopping for soaps and other things. Shawnee, I enjoy your products. You want to take 2 minutes and talk about what it is you do here and offer?
Sure. So it is the Chamber building, but it is also Turnbull Hollow Natural Soapery and Apothecary. And so I moved in here in September. I've been making the products in my basement prior to that, selling them in town. But now we are in here and I have soaps. Well, so soaps, salves, tinctures, tonics, teas, herbs, and essential oils. And then just a few other things. Mm-hmm. And I make, obviously I don't make the essential oils. I buy them in bulk, but I make pretty much everything else. I don't buy stuff pre-made. I make everything here in Clifton.
All natural ingredients.
All natural ingredients.
What would you say? Because I know, and obviously we're not going to disparage other businesses, but I just want to know the difference. Magnolia is a very popular soap company. Bluff City Soap is a very popular soap company. What is the difference between what you do and how you create versus how they create their products?
I don't use their products. So the difference between how I create my products. Well, first of all, every product I make has a scripture assigned to it. So that puts me different right off the bat. This is a Christian-based company. I spend a great deal of time learning about my customers and what they like. I know what you like in your soap, right? Mm-hmm. We have those conversations. So when I make a soap, I often think, is this something Christopher would like? Is this something Stacy's going to like? Is this something that Cy and Carol are going to enjoy? I like to take care of the people who live here, who people I work for, because that's what I do is I work for them. So I think that makes me a little different because I do a lot of custom things just for certain people. And I appreciate that. What makes my soap? I create all of my recipes. I did not go and find these recipes online and create them. And I'm not a chain. I mean, this is it. This is where it's made. This is where it's done. And it's made with a lot of love, sweat, blood, and tears. I'm not going to lie. I'm a sole proprietor. This is it. Except I do have a high schooler now who works 2 hours a day, but she does mostly cleanup.
Okay.
A lot of work.
Well, Stacy and we love your products.
I know you do.
We use your soap every day. I also use the beard oil. I have a rotating, I think, 12 beard oils that
all of them that I make, I think.
All of the ones that you make, and I think I found an oak aged whiskey one that you had, and I snatched that up immediately.
Yeah.
But we love your product, and it just feels great, to apply it, and when I rub it into my skin, like it really nourishes it. That's important.
And what's nice is the pharmacy across the street. If you were to go into them and say, I've got this really bad cough, I don't feel good, but I don't want to take an over-the-counter medication, they're going to send you over here. Mm-hmm. So that's really nice to have a working relationship with the pharmacy in town. And more people are starting to come in here and see that and come in here and get products. And my fire cider, my infused honeys have been quite the hit. It doesn't hurt that I offer free coffee, all day long. And then this summer I'm going to be having free iced tea. So that's kind of nice because as the visitor center, we need to offer something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking about the honey, do you have your own apiary or?
No, I could not possibly have bees for that. I go anywhere between 4 and 6 5-gallon buckets of honey a year to make my products. And I have a local bee guy who has bees between Camden and Parsons and Clifton. And so I get my honey from him.
Great. And you're not online, are you? Or are you online?
I am not online yet.
Okay.
I needed to move into here so I could have a shipping station, and we're getting ready to put the shipping station in. So then I can go ahead and do my residence. But I've been a little afraid of that because I've tried really, really hard not to be successful, and that failed.
Right.
So now here we are. You know, we've shipped to at least 3 other countries, and because we do historical reenacting and we travel and people get to know us, I now have to launch that on residence in order for people to get it.
So right now, the only place that you can get it is in Tennessee or one of the reenactments.
At one of the reenactments. But if you follow me on Facebook, then you'll see where I'm going to be, and you can go to the reenactment.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now it's time to meat and potatoes.
Yay, meat and potatoes.
You are also the Main Street director.
I am.
Tell us a little bit about what that entails.
Oh. The Main Street is roughly about 4 years old. We didn't, and you and your wife had a lot to do with getting the Main Street started. And our first director was Wendy Addy, and she did an amazing amount of work. So my job is much easier now than what it could have been had somebody else been the director first. Wendy really did a good blueprint of what needs to be done. In order to be able to get grants and do facade grants, and anybody who's from Clifton has seen a lot of neat things done on Main Street that have been through a grant upgrading, you have to have a Main Street director. Because we are a town of less than 5,000 people, it only has to be a part-time Main Street director. So in order to fulfill that duty, I also am the chamber, well, not chamber, I'm sorry. I am part of chamber, but I am the tourism and riverline director as well. So Main Street oversees anything that has to do with Main Street. I don't care if it's a decoration, promotion, all of the grants, keeping up with the tourism. It doesn't sound like a lot, but there's a lot. I'm always trying to find something, learn something. We're trying to do our history, getting history going. We're going to be adding more history to the Strictly Museum. I'm also in charge of that. There's a lot to be done, and it doesn't look like it, but it's a lot of busy work behind the scenes and paperwork and filling out for grants and studying what we can do, trying to become a historic district, getting that done. It's just a lot.
And right now you're creating some summer events?
We are. So we have our first market on Main Street. It's going to be happening the 3rd Friday of every month. It starts tomorrow, and then we have it all the way through August. We may have one in September. It just depends on produce, because that's a big deal. People come down here to Main Street to get food, but also to get produce, and then baked goods, and maybe the odds and ends that people are selling in the craft tables. So we will have that starting, and it starts at 5:30. We close the street down at 5. It starts at 5:30 and it goes to 8. So if anybody wants to be a vendor, they can email me or call me, and I can put them down. We try not to have too many competing vendors, so we don't need 5 people who are selling candles. Clifton's only got 700 people in it, so we don't need a bunch.
And this is weekly or just monthly?
Monthly. It's the 3rd Friday of every month. Right. And then the 3rd of July, because the 4th of July is on a Friday, the 3rd of July, Main Street Chamber and Rotary are partnering, and we're going to be having a birthday party on Main Street. So during the day, times to be scheduled, we're going to have hot dogs, hamburgers, drinks, sweets, probably some ice cream, things like that. So everybody in town can come here and have lunch and hang out and enjoy the gazebo park with the new chairs and tables, and just kind of have a good time.
Very good. And there's something big coming to Main Street. There
is, and that's why the September Main Street market may or may not happen. It just depends. We have the comeback of the Horseshoe Bend Festival.
Yes, we are rebooting.
Yes,
it's the reboot of the Horseshoe River Bend Festival here on Main Street.
On Main Street.
So it's actually going to be here. It's not going to be at the Clifton City Park.
No, it's a Main Street event.
And I'm super excited to be a part of that.
You guys are, yeah, you're part of it. So, part of the volunteer team.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's you, myself, Stacy, Doug Gibby, the city manager,
Mark Staggs, and Lila Riley.
And who
else wants to volunteer?
Yeah. There's plenty of work to be done between now and September.
It does. There's a lot.
How nervous are you that we've decided in April to do an event in September? I'm freaking out.
I'm not too nervous.
Mm-hmm.
One, because I know that so many people in town want the event. And a lot of people like that event. So I'm going to go with it's going to be cool and we're going to do it. Because first of all, I think we all work well under pressure.
Yeah.
You know, I think we come from a land that is very pressurized and we work well under pressure. And I do my best work when I'm stressed under a budget there and under that, timeline. I think it's going to be great. I'm not worried about it. I don't know how big it's going to be, and I'm not worried about it because it's going to happen the way we think it can happen, and we can only do our best. Who doesn't want to come down here on a September Saturday and hang out with the river right there and have a festival?
Have food, have drinks.
There'll be arts and crafts vendors.
Arts and crafts.
I think we're going to have Just Dance. They're going to perform. We've got a DJ.
We're going to have a DJ.
We have 3 bands.
We've got 3 bands lined up. We've got an 80s rock band. We've got a band out of Memphis that's he's performing at the Grand Ole Opry tonight. So he is a legitimate musician. He's up and coming. And then we're going to wrap it up with everybody's favorite local band, which is 4 Wheel Drive.
Yeah. So it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think between the food and the music, and we're going to have a beer booth.
We're going to have a beer booth.
Yeah. Clifton Marina's going to do a beer booth. And I want to say this, and it's not because you're sitting here. I say it to everybody. Anybody who watches this knows I don't say things I don't mean. The marina is actually not going to have music that night.
Correct.
The music that you booked for that night is actually Kay Doyle.
They're going to be here, yes.
And he's coming down here. No, still was Kay Doyle?
Kay Doyle.
Yeah, Kay Doyle's coming down here and performing instead. So that's a big deal, right? This is where we are working together and we are going to be putting on this event. And I think that's what's going to make it so cool.
I mean, this is huge because since I've gotten here, all I've heard is we need the River Bend, we need the Horseshoe Festival back. We need this to happen. And I've heard stories about how awesome everything was on Main Street. And I even bought a building on Main Street because of how cool everybody said it was going to be. That was like his selling point. His selling point was we used to stand up there and, drink beer and watch the music and, have fun. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a great experience. And I haven't been able to use it yet.
And now you can.
And now I can.
And now you can. You have the best seats in the house.
I do.
You literally have the best seats in the house. Yeah. Because the stage is going to be right there at the end of Main and Water.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be blocking off at Pillow and Main. And that's going to be where the concert area is. And then the vendors and food will be down farther a little ways. But that's the best seats in the house. I mean, this
is a big chance for just the city to come together.
It is.
Just unite. Regardless if you attended it in 2012 or this is your first time.
Absolutely.
We are, egos are set aside. And, this is the humility train right now.
You do what's best for Clifton. I spend my
absolutely.
entire day saying we have to do what's best for Clifton, and there is no room for egos when it comes to that. And it can't be about me. It can't be about you. It can't be about anything other than what is best for Clifton. This is fabulous for Clifton tourism, which I love. This is great for Riverline because we're promoting Riverline with the concert as well because the river is right there. And there's a lot of new people that have come just to this area, whether it's Wayne County or Perry County or Lawrence County,
Hardin County,
Lewis County. I think they will come to this event, one, because they all love Clifton. They all come through it and they see the old town and they say, oh, this is such a really cute town. What are you going to do? And now they're going to actually be able to come and hang out on Main Street and eat and drink and have a great time. And I just can't see how it's not going to be a win.
Yeah. And just so that, everything's clear, the marina is still going to be open for lunch, dinner, breakfast. So we're still going to have that. We're still going to service the boats. but we're going to try to do whatever we can to get the people that are coming down here on boat to come, come to Main Street and be a part of the, the process. We've also got a dock down there. It's not very large, but we'll see what we can do about transportation.
Yeah, I think we
to
can
and
probably
from
do
the marina.
a shuttle service, and
Mm-hmm.
we get a trailer
Yeah.
loaded up with hay, and we'll hay ride down.
Well, there is a gentleman that walks back and forth with his horses, so maybe we can.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's something we can do, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a good time to come out. It's beautiful weather. I mean, September usually is always a really nice time to have it in it. I'm curious to see how loud it's going to be, because I was not here for the Horseshoe Bend on Main Street. So I'm kind of curious to see how that will echo down the alleyway here with the buildings.
Oh, I'm sure they'll hear his indicator.
I think it's going to be pretty cool. And I think the lights are going to be great. And, who knows? Maybe we'll get someone to do a fireworks show, or maybe we'll get someone who, will just chip in a bunch of money and we'll blow it out the park.
That's right.
We'll have to see.
So talk about vendors. We need vendors.
We do need vendors. You're going to contact me. You have two ways to do that. I'm not going to put my phone number out on YouTube.
Somebody from like Romania will be like, "Oh, that's
wants to be a vendor." Idea. Yeah, that's to be a vendor. You can contact Main Street at cityofclifton.com, or you can call the city and ask for my phone number, and I will be more than happy to take a phone call. But this is my personal cell, so we're not going to be doing that right now. And we're looking for vendors to come and set up. We're not quite sure of the time. I mean, probably set up by 10 a.m. The event starts at noon. And then I think I looked it up. It gets dark at 7 o'clock that night. So maybe the vendors might want to close between 6 and 7 and go home. That's fine, but it'll be a full 6 hours. So we're looking for all types of vendors to come here and sell your wares. But we're not going to have 5 vendors doing the same thing. So it's going to be first come, first serve. So if you're the candle vendor and you want to come here, you better call me, because once I book, 2 or 3 of them, that's close.
Gotcha. And it's important to remember this is a reboot.
Yeah.
And since it's such short notice for planning an epic concert, we're going to need everybody to show up and show out.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
have a good time. We understand that we don't have a huge name band in there. We get it. Unfortunately, 5 months is relatively short notice to find somebody that's not doing anything on a Saturday night.
Yes,
but
it is.
We want to restart this tradition, and in order to do that, we want to see, we're not measuring success by money by any chance, or if it's turning a profit or anything like that, but we are going to do it by participation and see how many people, actively have said, I want this to happen, and then come out and bring their family, bring their friends, and stay around, and, have a really good time.
And the success of this year is going to depend if we have another year.
Absolutely.
And that's the big thing. If you want to see a big band next year, we need to have the people come out to this year and say, yes, we do want this again. We do miss this. This is what we want to have. And we can go from there.
So start booking your stay if you're from out of town. You can go to the Berrien, you can do Pillow Street, the Commodore. My building might be renting that night. It might not. Let's see. But there's other, I'm sure, Airbnbs in this area as well.
And you can come. You can come here because you guys have RV parking.
Yes, we do.
And the other thing you can do, if you're a golfer, you can come and do a play and stay for that weekend. Because there's 3 rentals at the golf course that you can come and do a play and stay.
And they're very nice. I've stayed in them.
They're very nice. And also, I mean, you could even book and spend the whole weekend. There's all sorts of things to do. I mean, within an hour's drive, you can be in some really cool, amazing places and then still be here for the concert. So yeah, definitely come and spend the time. Come and spend the weekend. And the other thing I want to mention too is in the past, the Horseshoe Bend Festival has always been a Rotary event. And it is now a City of Clifton / Main Street event. And so that's new.
And it is new.
That is new. Rotary did it for almost 40 years. So now it's time for the City of Clifton to take it over and try to bring it back. Let's face it. I mean, I'm sitting here with gray hair. I don't think I want to be doing a Horseshoe Bend Festival when I'm almost 70.
Right.
And so we got to get the young kids involved, and hopefully by bringing it back, we will get the younger crowd involved, and they'll want to get involved with their town, their tourism, and who knows,
Perfect.
People.
I love it. Well, thank you so much
for
taking the time.
For coming to my store and
hanging out. I've been chasing you down forever, and finally,
well,
awesome.
Here we are.
And
we've talked about doing different ones now.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
With a fireplace in the back.
Fireplace in the back with the 2 red chairs, and do a little history talk maybe. I think that could be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
We could share some really, really cool history, because I don't think people realize that. We take the Civil War, for example. My family left here, south in general, between Kentucky and Mississippi, after the war, because they didn't want to go through Reconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's kind of funny that here we moved back.
Right.
And Gavin, actually, my husband's last name, his family last name is Hardin. So you know where he comes from. So here he's a Hardin County boy, in his family tree, and then they just came back. He's got family buried all around here. So it's kind of an interesting story how that worked. No. And aren't you related to somebody famous? Isn't it Meriwether or something?
Oh, Stacy.
Stacy's famous.
Yes, Stacy is related. Her half brother is Meriwether Lewis III.
See, that's really cool.
So what happened was the original Meriwether Lewis, Louisiana Purchase, Pacific Ocean. He died. We all know that. And, his death was on the Natchez Trace Parkway.
Right, which is
just right
in
there.
Collinwood.
And for all of you that are watching this from some other state, you're not in Tennessee, Natchez Trace Parkway is absolutely great. There's so much history there. There's so many places.
It's one of the most beautiful drives you'll ever take in your life.
Great drive. I always take that all the way to Nashville.
Yes.
I don't mess with the 40 anymore. Too many potholes. But Natchez Trace is just, 50 miles an hour, just perfect. You see turkeys, you see deer. You see
it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Rolling hills.
And you can drive actually from Nashville to Natchez, Mississippi on that. And it's just the most, this was the trail they used to get everywhere. And it's just absolutely breathtaking. My goal is to do it in a convertible.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Yes. 65 Mustang convertible, top down, hanging out.
Or a motorcycle, either way.
Yeah, well, no convertible. But yeah.
So Stacy's, Meriwether Lewis, I believe his sister had a child named Meriwether Lewis, and then that kept the name going. So her half brother is Meriwether Lewis III, descended from that line. So it's really awesome.
It is. I love history, and I love how it all entwines.
Mm-hmm.
So we go for
it. And speaking of Stacy, she loves Outlander, which I'm sure a lot of people do.
Who doesn't?
And we've been able to kind of take that tour of Outlander in Scotland and then Outlander in the colonies and just kind of, follow that migration. And it all ties together, it really does. It's like, I'm watching the show right now called The Wheel of Time, and it's just like, there's the pattern and it just weaves itself and it just, continually, just flows. And this is a great area. There's just so much to absorb and learn.
There is so much history in Tennessee in general, and I'm learning more of it because of our historical reenacting.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be going next month to the Cumberland Gap, and so that's where Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia meet. And there's a fort there that is celebrating its 250th birthday, Martin Station, and that was no man's land, right? That's when they came out to push those boundaries of going out of the colonies and coming out to Tennessee and into Kentucky, where the natives lived and the white man taking over the land.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this fort, and the Shawnee actually burned it down, and then they rebuilt it after the Revolutionary War. But it's really kind of cool because this is what they call the frontier. This was the frontier. It wasn't the Old West. The Old West was not the first frontier. This was it.
This was the frontier.
This was the frontier. And there's still so many log cabins and different historic sites that are been restored, but they're original. And nowhere else in the country can you really see that. and there's such a contrast different from colonial life to frontier. I mean, it literally is. There is no beautiful brick mortar homes in the frontier. It was log cabins and hand hewn and digging your own wells. Pretty cool.
Kind of like that today.
It kind of like
your
that.
Own well.
Kind of like that today, especially in Wayne County.
But thankfully, Clifton's going to have a new water pump.
Break ground in August.
Yeah, right. That's
kind of excited about that.
So we went to Huntsville, Alabama, and I highly recommend going to Huntsville because that was a major rail center, but that was also, they had the river there, and it's interesting to see how commerce developed along the Tennessee River as well as the Ohio and the Cumberland. So, you've got these barges that are bringing up cotton, dropping off at the gin, and then, from cotton gin, they're going, other places to be sold. And it's so interesting to see all these river towns. And that's why I'm doing a Beyond the Banks podcast is, we keep on going. We want to dig deeper into the history of all these places.
But what's cool is you can stand out here and watch those barges today.
Yes.
Right? That are delivering commerce all around, doing all the things that they did 100 years ago, because this was the waterway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think about Clifton. Clifton was a huge riverport town. I mean, at one time we had a bunch of bars and some grocery stores, and it was just, massive hotels sitting on the corner, and people would come in and, rent a carriage and a horse and go visit family. But they would come in on that riverboat.
Yeah, and the landing in the 1880s was just a warehouse at first. Yeah, and that's where they brought all their goods and stored it there.
This was originally a grocery store.
Yeah.
This was, which is kind of cool. But Clifton's full of that history. All of Tennessee and a lot of places are full of that. I mean, obviously we landed in Clifton. This is where we call home now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that history is more important, but the surrounding areas is really cool too. And I love it. And I'm glad that you guys are doing this because it gives us a chance to talk about history, and it gives us a chance to promote the town that we think, I always tell everybody, Clifton is the best kept secret on the Tennessee River. Now with this podcast, it'll probably be a secret, but it is.
I'll talk history all day. I love history.
It is absolutely the best kept secret. How can a town that has this beautiful, amazing river, a Jack Nicklaus signature golf course, an airport, and a marina not be booming?
Right.
Because they haven't found us yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason. And when they do, it's going to go poof, because it's booming all around us.
It is. It is.
And everybody who comes here says, this is such a beautiful town. It's so sweet. It's so cute. It's like stepping back in time.
What we need is a housing development. No, sir.
No, we don't need housing development. I can walk in these streets at 2:00 in the morning and feel safe.
Absolutely.
And that is not something you can say about most towns. Definitely not a town from where any of us came from.
Right. No, you're not walking the streets.
I mean, I could walk. I could literally walk to the marina and come and walk back after midnight and not be concerned about my safety at all, other than maybe the wild deer that might run in my path, or
right.
A possum or a
bobcat.
Bobcats are pretty small. I'm not really worried about them, but the deer are a little suicidal.
They are. Speaking of history, so I went to the Saltillo reenactment.
Yes, you did. I was there.
The Remembrance Day, and I actually learned something that just completely blew my mind. So I know Hernandez de Soto, the Spanish explorer, came to, Florida,
mm-hmm.
and I did not know that he made it to Tennessee.
I did not know that either.
I had no idea, but the gentleman that was there representing, showed the map and his pathway, and he went from Florida all the way up to Tennessee and kind of came down, and he actually ended up in Texas.
Texas via Tennessee is a long way.
I know. Well, he was taking the rivers.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And the Spaniards brought over, all these hogs and pigs, and
they also brought horses.
They also brought horses. But the reason why we have such a feral hog problem today is because those pigs got away from the Spanish and they started breeding, and then boom, that's where all those hogs came from.
And that's the reason we have Mustangs.
Right.
Because I happen to have a colonial Spanish horse.
Do you?
Yes, he is an ancestor, of the colonial Spanish American horses. So they're not very big.
Mm-hmm.
And their knees are flat. And that's because they can tuck them up underneath them and slide down hills.
Would that be considered like I think the word is avatar? They were short horses that were used in about the 1400s in Europe.
Kind of, but these came from Spanish colonial. These were Spanish colonial horses, and they obviously let them loose, just like the hogs. They all escaped. Yeah. They aren't going to take them back on the ship, right? They brought them here. They turned them loose. The natives caught them, and they rode them.
They were like, we can make bacon out of these hogs.
Yeah, they did.
And then Jeff Letson
made bacon. It was an whole other story. But yeah, no. So that's kind of cool. So I have and he's a stud. He's a stud horse, so he is breedable. But he's a beautiful horse, and their temperament is amazing. Their eyes are a little farther apart, so they can see peripheral more. Mm-hmm. Kind of really cool how evolution has taken care of that.
Yeah, it really has. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Yeah, great conversation.
So much information, and
I think we could talk for hours.
We probably could. Just remember, show up, show out, September 6th, down here, Main Street, Clifton. It is so important. That way that we can be encouraged to keep the reboot going and do a sequel next year, but make it even better and bigger.
Yep, better and bigger and longer.
So for myself, Christopher Huntingford, and Shawnee Iacono, have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.